Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a topic that is just profoundly important and honestly, deeply emotional. It's something that happens right under our noses all the time, the hidden world of invisible pure violence and the silent screams of the teenagers we love. Let's go ahead and set a scene that, well, it might actually feel incredibly familiar to you. So, picture this. It's a totally normal Saturday morning. You've just poured your coffee, the sun's streaming through the window, and everything just feels really peaceful. You glance over at your teenager, your baby, right? But their face isn't relaxed at all. They're staring super intently at their phone screen, reading something. And then the absolute second they notice you looking, boom, they slam the phone down or lock the screen, fast, abruptly, almost like they've been caught doing something really wrong. So obviously you ask the natural question, hey, what is it? And you get the absolute classic one-word teenage response, nothing. But man, there is a heavy, heavy silence hidden inside that simple little word. You might feel it in your gut, like you just know there's something hiding inside that nothing. But, maybe you don't push it. The day passes, then another, and a week later you realize something super strange. Your child has completely stopped mentioning their best friend. Like the name they used to drop every single day has literally vanished, as if this person just never existed. Right, so this presents a huge mystery for us. As a parent, your first instinct is usually to wonder what on earth happened between them. Did they have some massive fight? But actually, scratch that. That's not even the most important question. The real question, the one that absolutely keeps you up at night, is this. What exactly happened during those weeks, and why didn't your baby come and tell you about it? Like, why the sudden total withdrawal? Okay, to figure this out, we need to uncover a few really surprising truths. Let's start right here with truth number 1. The worst peer violence, it doesn't actually come from strangers. No, it comes from the people they love. Think about it. If a stranger is mean to your kid's probably going to tell you. Why? Because they have zero bond with that stranger. They've got absolutely nothing to lose by ratting them out. But when the harm comes from a friend, well, the whole situation becomes terrifyingly complex. The reason for this boils down to what psychology calls the attachment paradox. Basically, when someone you're attached to hurts you, you suffer, sure, but you also kind of cling to them even tighter. Your teenager's brain is literally holding on to all those good memories, all those inside jokes, the times that friend made them feel special. In their mind, losing that friend completely is actually way scarier than putting up with the current pain. So your child isn't just acting confused, they're behaving exactly the way human psychology dictates. Which brings us to our second truth. Invisible violence leaves longer-lasting scars than physical violence. Now, I know that might sound totally counterintuitive at first, but let's break down exactly why this unseen emotional abuse is so unbelievably insidious. Just think about the stark difference here. Physical violence is visible, right? It leaves a mark. It's an undeniable event where someone can point and say, look, this happened to me. But invisible violence, it operates entirely in the shadows. Imagine your child being silently removed from a group chat. No one argues, no one yells, but the next day at school, the whole group is laughing together, and your kid wasn't invited. Or imagine a friend who swears, you're my best friend on Tuesday, and then acts like your child is literally invisible for the rest of the week. This kind of inconsistency, it's a silent, daily erosion of their self-esteem. And honestly, here's the most agonizing part for your teenager. They can't even articulate what's happening to them, because there isn't some clear, definitive event to point to. No black eye, no shoved locker. They just don't know how to explain it. They don't have a clear-cut sentence like, hey, they hit me. Instead, as the source material so poignantly describes it, there's just this growing, unexplainable heaviness inside them. So, the absolutely crucial point here is that we have to stop viewing this as some kind of emotional weakness on their part. That brings us to truth 3, the biology behind the intense need to belong. We're shifting away from emotional theories right now and looking at the cold, hard, biological facts of the teenage brain. Their intense desire to stay in these toxic friendships, it's actually proof of just how ridiculously powerful the human need for belonging truly is. See, during that super critical developmental window, we're talking ages 13 to 18, the teenage brain literally processes peer approval as a matter of life and death. And I'm not using that as a metaphor. It is a biological reality. To a teenager, being accepted by their peers equates to basic, fundamental survival. And the science backs this up in just an astonishing way. When a teenager is excluded by their peers, it activates the exact same regions of the brain as physical pain. I mean, really let that sink in for a second. The emotional agony
of being left out of that group chat, it triggers the identical biological alarm in their brain as if they had physically slammed their knee into a brick wall. The pain signal is exactly the same.
So this naturally creates a totally terrifying internal dilemma for your child. As a parent, you might look at the whole mess and be like, why don't they just ditch that toxic friend? But your teenager's brain is making a completely different calculation. It's constantly asking, okay, should I fear permanent isolation or should I just suck it up and endure this pain? Biologically, their brain decides that sometimes accepted is a way, way safer bet than never accepted. They'll choose to endure the abuse just to avoid total, terrifying loneliness. All right, which brings us to truth 4, and honestly, perhaps the most crucial realization of this entire explainer. We are now directly addressing the most painful question of all, the real reason your child stays silent and just doesn't come to you for help. Why aren't they telling me? It's a heartbreaking question that plagues so many parents. You might automatically assume it's because you've done something wrong or that your connection with them is somehow groping. But the truth revealed in our source material, it's actually incredibly surprising and frankly, deeply comforting. It is not because they don't trust you. It's because they're actually protecting you. I know this completely reframes all that parental guilt, doesn't it? Your teenager is sitting there thinking, oh man, if my mom or dad hears this, they're going to be so sad. Or they're terrified that if they tell you, you might jump in, march down to the school, and make the situation a million times worse for them socially. So their silence? It's actually a profound, if totally misplaced, act of love. Plus, there's this fierce independence kicking in. At that age, asking a parent for help feels like taking a massive step backward into childhood. They keep telling themselves, I should be able to take care of myself. To them, asking for help feels like failure, like weakness. So they just try to carry this massive, adult-sized burden entirely on their own. Their silence isn't them rejecting you. It's just a sign of a massive load they're desperately trying to carry by themselves. So let's bring this narrative full circle, right back to that Saturday morning, that quick, secretive movement of closing the phone screen. We almost always interpret that as a wall being built between us and our kid, but we really need to look at it differently. It wasn't a wall. It was a half-open door. In that exact moment, they wanted to tell you. They just didn't know how to start, or they were terrified of making you worry. They just paused right there at the threshold. Okay, so how do we actually help them step through? Here is how you gently open that door without, kicking it down. You don't need some grand speech or the absolutely perfect advice. Step 1, notice the change aloud. Just simply say, hey, you've seemed a bit different these past few days. Are you still feeling that way? Step 2, wait. Seriously, do not force an answer. Definitely do not interrogate them. And whatever you do, don't instantly try to analyze the situation. Step 3, just be there as a safe, totally steady presence. Because ultimately, this is what matters the most. They don't need to find some immense superhuman strength to sit down and tell you every single painful detail. What they actually need is the deep, unwavering assurance that if they do decide to speak, their words are going to land safely. They just need to know you are there. You're already their safety net. You really just need to gently remind them of it. I want to conclude with this incredibly profound thought from our source material. The deepest wounds are left by the hands you needed to trust the most but learned you couldn't. Your child is out there, right now, still trying to figure out exactly how to trust. And honestly, that effort is their absolute greatest strength. So, the next time your teenager abruptly locks their screen, ask yourself, are you going to see a wall? Or are you going to see a door just waiting to be gently opened? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.